If you are listening to this, it means you have sought refuge. It means the usual white noise of existence, the phone alerts, the traffic surge, the internal debate, has become too loud. Let all of that go now. Shut the door on the day's demands. Because right now, there is only one sound that matters, a sound that has promised rest for generations. The deep, relentless drumming of heavy rain on corrugated tin. Lie back, surrender your worries to the current, and let the rhythm carry you into the deepest sleep. The story begins, not in a big, bustling city, but in a small, isolated cabin tucked deep within the Adirondack Park of upstate New York. It is a place of primal silence, where the air itself tastes of ancient pine and damp earth. Our focus is a man named Owen, a cartographer by trade, who has come here to map out not the forests, but the boundaries of his own peace. He is escaping the constant, high-frequency anxiety of his life in Boston, seeking the grounding effect of brown noise, which he knows the rain on his simple metal roof will provide. The cabin itself is small, rustic, built from dark logs that have settled comfortably into the earth over 70 years. It is late October, and the surrounding maple trees have bled their final colors onto the forest floor. Owen sits by a small wood-burning stove. The last flames of his day's fire are collapsing into a glowing bed of coals, casting dancing, amber shadows that soften the sharp edges of the room. A profound, almost unbearable silence has fallen. The kind of silence that doesn't feel empty, but full of potential sound. Owen closes his eyes, inhaling the sweet, smoky scent of the dying fire, and waits. He knows the storm is coming. The forecast was absolute, a massive weather front sweeping in from the Great Lakes, promising hours of intense, soaking rain. He listens for the first whisper. Shh. Wasn't that the wind catching the eaves? No. Just the internal static of a mind too used to noise. He waits longer, his body fully relaxed in the deep, worn armchair that smells of leather and old books. And then, the unmistakable signal. A single heavy drop, cold and deliberate, strikes the metal roof directly above his head. Dink! It is a clear, metallic chime, an opening bell. It is immediately followed by a cluster of drops, landing a few feet away. Pitter-pat. The sound is sharp at first, like tiny crystalline marble scattered across a drum skin, but the delay between the drops rapidly shrinks. Within 30 seconds, the individual notes are swallowed up by a powerful, unified roar. The sky has opened. The corrugated tin roof is now a giant resonating soundboard, vibrating with a deep, throbbing energy. Whoosh, rumble, shh. The sound is immense, not just above him, but around him, vibrating through the log walls and under the floorboards. Owen lets out a deep, relieved breath. This is it. This continuous, consistent, low-frequency sound is the acoustic blanket he needs. The brown noise effect is immediate. It masks the chaotic, high-pitched sounds of the world and replaces them with a uniform, deep drone. This steady, non-threatening rhythm tells his parasympathetic nervous system to stand down. No danger here. Just water. Just nature. His racing thoughts, the endless loop of to-do lists and what-ifs, are like small, frantic moths drawn to a harsh light, but the steady rain sound is now a vast, dark expanse, a sensory deprivation tank for his mind, absorbing the light and calming their erratic flight. He pulls the heavy, handmade quilt higher, feeling the distinct warmth that comes from being securely enclosed while a torrent rages outside. He focuses on the sheer texture of the sound,
it is not flat. He can hear the heavy bass provided by the large drops impacting the flat sections of the metal, creating a deep, resonant thrum. Then there is the mid-range hiss, the sound of millions of smaller drops rushing down the vertical channels of the corrugated metal, a constant, satisfying sibilance. Finally, the high-frequency shimmer of the spray, the splashback as water hits the rock foundation just outside his window. It is a full spectrum of sound, yet perfectly unified in its monotony. This predictability is the key to sleep. The brain can safely ignore it. If a branch had suddenly snapped or a coyote had howled, his brain would have flagged it as a novel potential threat, waking him instantly. But the rain? The rain is merely the world's quiet, continuous assurance. It is the sound of time passing evenly, without interruption. Owen remembers reading a study about the nostalgia effect of this sound for people in the U.S., particularly in rural and older communities. The tin roof is an iconic element of old American architecture, linked to simple living, grandparents' houses, and a time before digital noise. For Owen, it connects him to his own childhood in a small Indiana town where summer storms meant a mandatory, cozy nap. That memory, wrapped in the sound, acts as a powerful psychological trigger for safety and rest. He allows the sound to become the current that gently pulls him away from the shore of wakefulness. His eyelids grow heavier than lead. He is no longer trying to sleep. He is simply letting the environment take over. The tension behind his eyes melts away. The fire is now completely gone, leaving the cabin in profound darkness, which only amplifies the auditory experience. The drumming continues, loud enough to be immersive, but not so loud as to be painful. It is the perfect volume for masking internal chatter. He shifts slightly, finding the most comfortable spot on the pillow. The smell of the humid, rain-soaked air outside, mixed with the residual wood smoke and the lavender oil he rubbed on his temples, creates a sensory triad of peace. The storm is now at its peak intensity. The metal roof is vibrating with a relentless, full-throated roar, a sound that feels like a physical embrace. It is a sound of immense power, yet total harmlessness. He is safe. He is warm. He is dry. And outside, the world is being thoroughly, completely washed. He imagines the water coursing down the mountainside, filling the nearby Willow Creek, carving new paths in the old stone. The thought is soothing. The endless cyclical power of nature carrying on, independent of his emails, his deadlines, his anxieties. He is a small, quiet island in a vast, loud sea, and the sea's noise is his lullaby. He feels his breathing deepen, slowing into the long, rhythmic pulls that precede true, restorative sleep. In, out, rumble. In, out, shh. He drifts, the drumming of the tin roof merging with the soft thud of his own slowing heartbeat, until the sound is no longer external, but internal, the soundtrack of his own descent into the deep, welcoming dark. The drumming of the tin roof merging with the soft thud of his own slowing heartbeat, until the sound is no longer external, but internal, the soundtrack of his own descent into the deep, welcoming dark. He is sinking now, not falling, but settling, like silt in a quiet riverbed. The initial sharp impact of the heavy rain has mellowed. The fierce metallic clatter has softened into a dense, velvety roar. It's the kind of sound that doesn't demand attention, but rather allows it to drift. Owen's mind, once a constant stream of high-definition worries, is now blurred at the edges. He begins to perceive the sound not just as rain, but as a complex natural mechanism engineered for peace. The sheer volume of the sound is what is doing the work. This high decibel, low frequency pressure seals him off from the world. It's a sensory deprivation chamber built of wood and metal. He thinks about the science for a moment, letting the thoughts float past like leaves on a stream, not holding on to them. This constant low rumble, the brown noise, is effective because it primarily operates in the lower frequencies, below 500 hertz, a deep, bass-heavy drone. Unlike white noise, which sounds like TV static and contains all audible frequencies equally, the deep hum of the rain is less jarring, more like the sound of a strong waterfall or the deep, steady roar of an ocean. His brain, designed to detect and prioritize high-frequency sounds, like a snapping twig or a sudden voice, finds nothing alarming in this low, continuous drone. It's safe. It's ancient. It's the background noise of the planet itself. The rain intensifies momentarily, the sheer density of the water creating a whooshing curtain of sound that completely washes out the memory of traffic, fluorescent lights, and the chime of his office phone. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. He can visualize the water pooling on the low spots of the roof, rushing over the ridge, and then plunging down the unseen drain pipes. Even the sound of the overflowing rain barrel outside the window is soothing. A steady, thick glug glug glug. A deep, watery percussion that adds a comforting sublayer to the main drumming. Owen's focus drifts from the roof to the cabin itself. He notices the small, subtle sounds beneath the rain that prove his security. The soft creak of the old logs as they absorb the sudden moisture and expand. A slow, drawn-out groan that speaks of permanence and shelter. The nearly inaudible pop and settle of the cooling coals in the stove. These tiny internal sounds, heard only because the rain has masked all external city noise, are signs that he is inside a safe haven. The rain is a shield, a boundary between the wild outside and the gentle warmth within.
He feels his breathing grow longer, deeper. He is now in a state of controlled meditative sinking. He intentionally slows his exhale, allowing it to stretch out, riding the longest, deepest notes of the rain. Inhale deep, exhale slow, slower than the rain's loudest rumble. This conscious effort fades quickly, becoming an automatic, deep sleep rhythm. His memory offers up a final, peaceful image. It is the attic bedroom of his grandmother's Minnesota farmhouse. He is a child, tucked under a scratchy wool quilt, and the rain is just as loud then, drumming on the metal roof. That sound was a constant presence, the voice of the prairie, singing him to sleep. It was the sound of a world that didn't demand constant vigilance. He realizes he hasn't felt this profoundly safe since childhood. The predictable monotony of the tin roof sound is the perfect antidote to the unpredictable chaos of adult life. Now, the rain is no longer perceived as a series of impacts, but as a single, sustained vibration. The different layers of sound have merged into one continuous, enveloping hum. He can no longer distinguish the thrum from the hiss. It is simply the sound. It is a velvet curtain drawn over the bright window of his mind. His muscles are completely lax. His hands, resting on the quilt, feel heavy, anchored. He feels a pleasant warmth spreading from the core of his chest outwards. The sound has successfully ushered his brain into the lower frequency patterns associated with the alpha and theta wave states, the gateway to sleep. The anxious beta waves have been silenced. He drifts further. He is no longer thinking about the rain. He is part of the rhythm. The heavy, consistent sound is a metronome for the universe, and his consciousness is simply keeping time with it. There is no past, no future, only this moment of profound, roaring stillness. The rain will continue all night, relentless and steady, promising to hold his mind in this dark, warm cocoon until the first soft light of morning breaks. He is utterly surrendered, completely safe. The last conscious thought fades, dissolved by the low, deep rumble on the tin roof, carrying him away into the final, deepest, most restorative dark.